Kevin Durant and Drew Holiday were traded over the past few days. So the league shifts gears. I mean, Katie and Drew Holiday were both traded in a matter of days. Katie to the Rockets and Drew to the Blazers last night. And the Rockets not contenders? And what does that mean for Book and the Suns?
Suns got off, bro. They got off like crazy. They got a young talent. I don't like Jalen Green's game like that yet, but they got a young talent. Doesn't matter. Book can run the one if they needed to, but I mean, they got off in the sense of having, young talent and Dylan Brooks.
They got to get rid of Beal.
They can't.
they won't be able to.
Bill's not.
Is there a way that they could just buy him out?
Nope. Well, I could, but they'd have to suffer.
Then they'd they'd have probably 40 to 50 million dead cap for
and
quite
then they'd
a
have
while.
to trade Devin Booker if they did that.
I think that they might just have to eat it for a couple of years with Beal. There's just, I mean, who would take that contract after how terrible he was last year? There's
man,
just
the Pacers might. Never know.
Pacers. I mean, yeah, somebody might take that contract, but they ain't giving you nothing for it.
Right.
No, there is no leverage in that situation. And that's what we saw with Kevin Durant as well, is that he talked for so long about wanting out of Phoenix. There were some stories that were coming out of Phoenix, regardless of whether or not they were true, like how Boogie Cousins was saying that there's some fist fights in the locker room. Katie says there's not. Boogie says, my source is your own teammate. Figure it out. Like the Suns had zero leverage here. So getting what they got for Kevin Durant is impressive enough.
They got their pick back, and then they got 5 second-round picks, which I think is insane.
I don't even know what you do with those. I don't even know what you do with those.
Dude, I'm trying to tell you.
At this point,
this is the way to rebuild around Bradley Beal's contract. With second-round picks, you're not going to pay them. You're not going to pay the second-round picks like crazy compared to a first-round pick. Like with any first-round pick, you're going to pay over $5 million maybe for their first contract, or per
depending
year.
on how high, it could be as close as 10.
Right. If it was like 20 to 30, you still have to pay like $5 million a year. With second rounders, you can go as low as $800K. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm thinking in my head, like, this is a great way to develop some players. Their second round picks. I mean, you might get a Bronny, you might get a Jokic. Who knows? It's up to them on the drafting at this point. Can they win this trade by drafting well? And drafting around that Bradley Beal contract is going to do them wonders, considering they still got Booker, they got Jalen Green. That brings in more fans. That means more money for their front office. They can make something happen. I agree that their front office is one of the worst in the league. Not by far. They've done Booker wrong, but they have a chance to make it up within this next year and a half, before Booker gets sick of it and wants out. So I think that if they start making the right moves, they can do this. I'm a big Arizona fan, like at heart, because my family lives down there. So I've been to a Suns and a Cardinals game. It's amazing down there. It's beautiful. So I want to see them succeed, just not against the Bucks. But I and Booker's my favorite, like top 5 favorite player in the league. So I hope they do good by him. Otherwise, send them somewhere great. You gotta imagine that some teams that are injured right now are gonna try to push for Devin Booker. I would if I were them, because they got 2 shooting guards now in Jalen.
Indiana
I don't know.
might.
I don't know if Indiana will, but you can't count out the Celtics. They probably look at them right now.
I was gonna say Boston might be a shout for that too. Now that Tatum's out,
Never know, man. I would.
the package would be tough though, because I don't know who they would go and get rid of in that
They've
situation.
been looking to trade Jalen Brown and Porzingis, so I don't know. Maybe
you're gonna trade Brown, not this season.
Yeah,
not this. They definitely
I think
trade Porzingis.
this is Jalen Brown's year to prove that he's a number 1 option and has that value for when Tatum comes back.
But Porzingis needs
only
to get out of
problem,
it.
especially for a team looking to make a move for Booker right now, is that he is owed $53 million this upcoming season, and then he's on the books for 2 more years too. Now he's 29 years old. He's a phenomenal shooter. He's one of the best shooters in the game.
That's post game.
So you're paying for what you're getting. You're getting what you pay for. But at the same time, for teams that are in cap purgatory or in the first apron and the second apron, it's impossible to make a move for a guy like this. The league, the Suns are not the league. The Suns are in a very stagnant spot right now, where they got what they could out of Kevin Durant. I don't think you can afford to move Devin Booker, because teams know that they're taking on a massive contract. They won't be able to afford Devin Booker alongside other superstars. He'd have to become the number one option on another team. And who knows if that situation is going to be any better than where he's at right now. So it's such a tough call. And not even just for the Suns, but for any other team. And it's going to devalue Devin Booker, the player.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think they got the better side of the trade against the Rockets. I think KD on the Rockets, I think that team is still good, but having Van Fleet, Thompson, KD, Jabari Smith, and Sengun as your starting five is not scary to me. Like, I just don't think I think it's better than what he got in Phoenix, don't get me wrong. But Jabari Smith is not great. Sengun is
He hasn't
very
panned out.
right. Sengun he's very overrated. He has one post move and it doesn't work half the time against players that are his size. He could barely do it against Draymond. So, I mean, you can just pick up on his moves fast. KD's like the only X factor that he's the one again, which I mean, it's great, but this is going to affect his legacy more when he doesn't get it done. Because I don't know, Thompson's like their only like big thing to look forward to in that starting lineup. And Van Vliet, he's old, so who knows, man? I'm excited to see what happens there for him, but I'm not that moved by the pick at all with them.
I don't know. I think it's a good trade for the Rockets. I think their biggest need, and it was pretty clear in that Golden State series, was that they needed an alpha scorer on that team. They didn't really have one, and Steph was able to take over for the Warriors, and the Rockets didn't have anyone to match that. The Warriors had him in purgatory that entire series. They weren't able to do anything, and they had no one on that team that could truly take over a game. And I think even at this age, KD still has that capability to just put a team on his back offensively and just put up 30 to 40 in a big game. How he's going to mesh with these guys, I don't know, because this Houston team still doesn't really have that many shooters, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for them. However, it does shorten their window. They don't have a ton of time with KD just because he's so old. He's 36, 37. He's going to be 38, 39 in a couple of years. He's going to really struggle to keep his production after probably this season and maybe the one after that, unless he just turns into LeBron and still drops 25 at 40. But their window is a bit shorter now than I think it would have been if they didn't make this deal.
Why stay in the West though? Like, the East is wide open. Why would he stay in the West when you see that all the big teams and juggernauts are down in the East? You could possibly make something happen in the East. I don't know what team he would have gone to. I can't think of one that would have made sense. Maybe the Miami, I guess. Miami would have been the best option, but they didn't want to give up Jaime Jaquez Jr. for some reason. Okay, but
guys on their team that didn't even play last year hardly.
Yeah, they didn't want to give up their future, which I get, but they weren't even that good yet. But I don't know. I feel like that would have been way better, more beneficial for KD, considering that it's wide open now. He would have been a star player, and if he stays healthy, he would have been one of the best players in the East. So, I mean, each his own, I guess. But I mean, I just feel like he should have went to the East, 100%.
And we just got in the comment section here from Jordan. Fred VanVleet is on a team option for $44 million. They could very well turn that down. They could very well tell him to kick rocks because I don't think Fred VanVleet is worth $44 million.
No, they're gonna probably go get Drew Holiday,
or find Drew Holiday, or
I've
find someone else.
That Holiday's not going to get rerouted this time.
I'm not surprised by that either. We can switch gears into that too if we want.
We'll get I'm not surprised by that. Sometime maybe Thursday.
Yeah, the Blazers need a role model for all those young guards. They had one player on the roster last year who was 30 years old or older, and it was Jeremy Grant, and he was exactly 30 years old. They need someone that can mentor guys like Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson, and who's their guy off the bench? I forgot his name. Why am I blanking?
Toumani Camara, maybe?
No, not Camara, because he's a power forward.
He's not going anywhere. He's an all defensive team. He's not going anywhere.
Exactly. So let me find the name because it's really bugging
Somebody
me.
Needs to
Delano Banton was a solid guard off the bench. He wasn't the greatest at facilitating the ball, but in his few minutes, he did average 8-9 points a game. So they need someone like Drew Holiday that can be the leader of that young team with those guys that are all fighting for minutes and trying to compete against one another to help this team out. They need a guy like Drew Holiday to be the leader of that pack. And if Portland is not in a good spot at the trade deadline, they're going to move him. A championship team will really look to find Drew Holiday. Maybe it's even the Bucks. Maybe the Bucks try and go bring him back for half a season.
Probably would.
Right? Like that. I would not be surprised if John Horst isn't on the phone right now talking to Portland to try and bring Drew Holiday back for one season. They needed a guard.
He's definitely retiring a Buck. I just know it.
Yeah. They needed a guard to help lead those young guys. They got that guy in Drew Holiday. It's a good move. And Anthony Simons, there must be something behind closed doors that we don't know about Anthony Simons. Because I feel like they really should not have moved picks with Simons. Is he really not worth that as much as we think? Or what's the deal? Like, is he going to fall apart now that he's not in Portland? I'm not sure. It's weird. This feels like a weird situation where Drew Holiday feels like the more important player in the deal, and I think Simons is the more skilled and gifted scorer. And that's what, to me, that's what's more important in that trade, especially for a team like Portland. They should have gotten more back.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think Simons you probably could have made a move and not given him up in that deal. And you could have kept Simons and still gotten Holiday, because I saw Simons play live last year. That guy can score. He can shoot. He's, like you said, Sam, he's a 3-level scorer. He's good from mid-range, down low, and outside. He's a bit streaky. He's definitely has his on games and his off games, but I think for Boston, this is a really good move for them. It gives them a scorer to rely on besides Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Porzingis, who doesn't play that much to begin with either when Tatum's out. And it kind of takes the load off a guy like Peyton Pritchard, who's going to be expected to take a massive step forward next year with all those guys out.